Howdy everybody, welcome back to another video, and this is another things I love and hate about The Sims, and this is the part 2, this is The Sims 2, and I'm going to be going more in detail in this video, talking about stuff I like and dislike about this game, because there's a lot of stuff I dislike about The Sims 2, and it's more minor stuff, because this game is overall really good. It's a really good game, but it has its issues. I don't think there's a single video game that doesn't have issues. There are some big complaints here I have for The Sims 2 that I'm going to be talking about. But yeah, there's things I love about the game, tons of stuff I love about the game, the characters, all this different stuff. And, unfortunately, because, I think it's well known that The Sims 2 is a very buggy game built on a spaghetti code. So that's another thing that brings it down. And, I'm going to be sort of going into sections here on what I like, and then going on to what I dislike about this game. But, yeah, it's just, I think this is interesting to just talk about stuff you like and dislike about these different games. Because, as much as I am a Sims channel, there are stuff I dislike about this game, and The Sims is nowhere near my favorite franchise. I love The Sims, the original 3, but it's not my favorite franchise. And I'm definitely very critical of some of the decisions in these games, and what they did with some of these, games in terms of, some of the bugs and all that other stuff. But without further ado, let's get on with the video. Alright, so just getting on with the first positive of The Sims 2. This is one that is going to seem kind of unexpected, but it's the music. I love the theme of The Sims 2, the Sims 2 theme song. I think it's got a really cool theme. I forgot to mention that about The Sims 1 as well. The Sims 1 also has really cool music. It's like a 1950s style music, I guess. Because that's sort of the style of The Sims 1, is it's kind of 1950s. Especially with characters like Bella in that game, where she kind of has the appearance of a 50s housewife, I guess. I don't know, that's the kind of vibes I get from her appearance. But yeah, in The Sims 2, I love the way the soundtrack sounds in this game, and the music, the different, music choices you hear in the game, the music when the burglar arrives, all these different sounds and stuff like that. I really like the sound design and the music choices of this game. But would I say this game has my favorite soundtrack? No, that goes to Silent Hill 3. That soundtrack is absolutely fire. You cannot beat that soundtrack for video games. But yeah, and Life is Strange Before the Storm. That also has a really good soundtrack. I love the soundtrack of Before the Storm. But let's get on to the next positive. Now, it's gotta be said, it's the lore. Well, the storylines of these Sims. Because in The Sims 1, there wasn't really any story. Like, when you played as the Goths and these different families, the newbie family, they didn't really have any sort of story. They were just kind of there, and they were placed down in the town. But The Sims 2 evolves this and, ages them up. And we get to see, the future of these characters. Mortimer's an elder. His wife is missing, abducted by aliens. You have the Caliente sisters who are newly introduced, who have moved in. One of my favorite families, Dina Caliente especially. And, you have Don Lothario turning up as well. You have all these new characters that have moved into the neighborhood. And, yeah, it's just really cool to see this neighborhood evolve. I think Neighborhood 1 from The Sims 1 and Pleasant View are supposed to be the same place. I always assumed they were different locations, but I think they're supposed to be the same place. I don't know. Considering all the same families are here, I'm assuming it's the same location. I could never really, understand whether they were meant to be the same location. But, yeah, it's just cool. And, of course, you also have Strangetown as well, and Veronaville. I don't play in Veronaville as much, but Strangetown is really cool. You have all, unique Sims there. You have Pollination Technician, the elder alien dude with the Hawaiian shirt on. He's cool. You got Olive Spectre, one of my favorite Sims. I love Olive Spectre in The Sims 2. In the future games, they really made her as bland as possible and really tried to stray away from what made her interesting in The Sims 2. But yeah, she's great in The Sims 2. And you have, all these other characters, Johnny Smith, you have the Grunt family. Yeah, you got all these different types of families in the neighborhoods. And just the neighborhoods themselves are good. Like, you get 3 neighborhoods in this game. 3 neighborhoods. You get Pleasant View, which is sort of the basic suburban neighborhood, outside of Sim City. You got this grassy sort of look, green, whereas with Strangetown, it's a desert. It's in the middle of, I guess it's supposed to be based on the Nevada desert. I guess that's sort of the idea. And you've got, the little UFO crash site there as well. Just different, unique stuff, and you can tell a lot of work was put into these neighborhoods. And then, of course, you have the new added improvements like the aging system. You know, you have new life stages now: adult, teenager, child, toddler. You also have young adult with the other expansion pack. I forgot which one that added young adult, but it's not really a full life state. But yeah, you got these new life states, considering in The Sims 1 you only had adult and child. But yeah, there's a lot of improvements here when it comes to the aging of the Sims, you know, and just the Sims themselves are great in this game. They have so much of a personality. I love the way they animate, the way they talk, you know, certain things they do, and it just gives them a lot of personality that makes them their own sort of thing. And unfortunately, after The Sims 2, they would sort of stray away from this, and The Sims would become more and more bland and do less and less unique stuff. Like in The Sims 2, they had a lot of personality. They had a lot of stuff they did, a lot of like animations, and they were just funny people to watch. Whereas in The Sims 4, they're just kind of bland. They're just kind of people. But yeah, now let's get on to the negatives of this game. Now this complaint is pretty, like, it's more my sort of own personal complaint that I have for the game, and that is the pre-made elders. I love the elders of The Sims 2. They're really interesting. Mortimer Goth, Olive Spectre, Pollination Technician, a few others as well. But unfortunately, when you play them in the game, because they've already lived their lives, they're near death when you're playing as them. And you can't really turn off the aging in The Sims 2. I think there might be a cheat for it, but that just to me is really unfortunate. Like, you have Olive, who's this really interesting character. She has all these memories, and she dies in like a few days. It's like, well, damn, man. I wanted to, you know, keep playing as her. And like, no disrespect to Ophelia, but Olive's the more interesting character here. Like, I want to play as Olive. And it's the same with Mortimer. You'll notice in my Caliente family series, I always have the elixir of life because Mortimer dies pretty quickly into the game, so I keep having him drink that throughout the series to keep his age down so he won't die. And that's just really annoying. I shouldn't have to do that. I wish there was a way to turn off the aging for these characters, you know, like in the game settings, like in The Sims 3. But yeah, that's just a complaint I have. Of course, you also have corruption, which isn't as big of an issue as people make it out to be, but there's, you know, just glitches as well. One thing that used to annoy me a lot when I played the game was object errors. You know, that pop-up message you'll occasionally get? That shit pissed me off. That pissed me off. I hated that. But yeah, it's just some of the bugs because, you know, this was unfortunately, it was a spaghetti code. This game was built on a, you know, it's just buggy. It can be a buggy mess sometimes. And unfortunately, pretty much every Sims game is like this. And yeah, it's just kind of sad. It's kind of sad. And another thing that's kind of unfortunate, but it's not The Sims 2's fault, is the fact that we never got a real continuation to The Sims 2's story. Because unfortunately, after this, they were kind of too cowardly to follow up the story. Because if you followed up the story after The Sims 2, a lot of the iconic characters would be dead. Mortimer would be dead, Bella would be dead, and, you know, how can you make a Sims game without Bella Goth? You know, so I don't know how they would have done that. Because if you were to make a Sims 3 where it took place after The Sims 2, Bella would be dead. So, yeah, it's kind of tragic. But, you know, they made it a prequel instead in The Sims 3. And I actually enjoyed that. I liked the fact it was a prequel. But, yeah, they never ended up following up on the story of The Sims 2. Aside from in The Sims 3 Store Worlds. And I've already discussed what I think about that stupid-ass decision. Now, another thing which I mentioned in my Sims 1 video, but once again, it's still a problem in The Sims 2 up until they fixed it in The Sims 3, and it was the stupid-ass friends system in the work where you had to have a certain amount of friends to get promoted. It wasn't a big issue in my playthroughs because I found a glitch where you could just keep talking to somebody over the phone and you could eventually build a relationship with them, so it wasn't a big issue, but the fact I had to glitch to make friends in this game, you know, fast and quickly so I could get my sim promoted, it's kind of bad. And I just really didn't like this system, and I never liked it, and it's just, it doesn't really make much sense to me. I don't know. And my next complaint, I can't believe I forgot about this one, and I just remembered it. The Rod Humble NPC. and all these other expansion pack NPCs that turn up at your house every time you start a new game or start a new neighborhood or move anybody in or play as any pre-made family. This shit happens every time. No matter who you play as, if you're playing as a family for the first time in The Sims 2, no matter what, Rod Humble and all these other NPCs like the fortune teller or whoever she is, the love matchmaker or whoever, they will always turn up to your property. The garden club, that is the worst one. The garden club, I hate them. They will turn up as well, and it is so obnoxious, man, getting all these idiots on my doorstep every time I start a new game. That shit pisses me off. I hate the garden club, and I will never join it.